Hey, Battle Bill, here with another video, getting some more Season 13 Go Battle League battles on the to-do list of covering as many updated mons and buff mons from the Season 13 Go Battle League move update with some more Great League Remix battles. In today's feature, we have Sudowoodo receiving the Rock-type charge move of Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam is 120 damage, 60 energy charge move that has a guaranteed 100% chance of a 1 attack stage boost. And boy, oh boy, my opinion of the charge move Meteor Beam is slowly starting to change, because I had quite the time and quite the success running this team of 3. I've got a collection of 2 whole sets where I absolutely popped off some Great League Remix battles with Pidgeot in the lead, Tapu Fini as a save swap, and then Sudowoodo in the back, dealing up a bunch of counter damage with Quagsire as a bait move and landing some Meteor Beam and nukes. If I had any space on the screen, I'd do a counter for the amount of beams I land here and how satisfying each and every one of those were. Oh, wait a minute. One's coming right up in just a moment. Our opponent's last mon is a Shadow Tyranitar. Counter the entire thing down. We don't care. Big Meteor Beam here against the Machamp for resisted damage. Take out a tiny sliver of health. Boom! Look at that attack boost. If you're excited for more of these battles, or as for this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's continue into these battles. Getting to this next one, we have a negative lead. Pidgeot against Aurora. It's probably one of the worst matchups you could possibly find. Save swap into Tapu Fini. They catch a Surf, moving into their Dusclops. We have quite the situation here, because Dusclops just recently received the charge move of Poltergeist. Yes, Dusknoir got it, but so did Dusclops. And I don't know what's going to happen here. So I'm like, Dusclops can't hit me that hard with Poltergeist. I decide not to shield their opponent, guess baits with Ice Punch. I'm assuming that's what ended up happening there, because then they throw another Ice Punch, and then I got 2 greedies. I was like, they threw 2 Ice Punches. They don't have any more energy, and they throw off another Ice Punch. I guess they were fully expecting me to shield, and once I didn't, they said, screw it, going for that Poltergeist. So we're going to get off a Surf here, barely surviving, winning switch, and getting shield advantage, which is huge for us, because Aurora against our Sudowoodo on the back is going to be an amazing scenario. Now we can just play the mirror with Pidgeot on Pidgeot, both of us running Wing Attack instead of Gust. Wing Attack with its recent buff seems to be the preferred fast move over Gust. Both are legacy, which is why it's orange on screen. And going forward, the moves that are the feature for these types of videos will be in another color. But just know that I'm not going to put like any type of like graphic to explain a little color key. That's the name of what I'm trying to say, to specify. But now you know going forward. Either way, now that we got that alignment, we're in a fantastic situation. Opponent top lefts, and we're able to win another battle. Getting to this next match, we have another bad lead. That's the craziest part of this. Even though I wasn't winning leads or alignments, I was still able to play really close matchups or just completely win these matches. We save swap at the Tapu Fini, the opponent decides to Psychic Fangs us, and then goes into Togedemaru, which honestly I would have just expected didn't need us to get Psychic Fangs baited, but I guess because of the fact that it's a 2-shield scenario and the opponent needs to go for like 3 wild charges essentially to take us out, that was what they were hoping for. They were hoping the Thunder Shocks with a combination of the Fell Stingers would be enough to take us out without them having to debuff themselves. But then we're able to get both of the shields from our opponent, and they're still continuing to throw nothing but Fell Stingers. The only unfortunate part here is that they're able to Thunder Shock us down, but we leave the scenario even though we don't have switch with a huge shield advantage. Now, by rocking Meteor Beam, we do lose some ground coverage that Earthquake on Sudowoodo had, and right there I shielded a Fell Stinger, which also sucked. But the steel coverage that we lose with having Earthquake still gets made up for through the fact that counter hits so hard, and you'll see it right here. Going for the Meteor Beam, increasing the damage of our counters that we're going to deal. Meteor Beam literally does no damage to Steelix, which is still totally fine for us. We're going to shield here, whether this is a Crunch, a Psychic Fangs, anything along those lines. We do not want our Sudowoodo to go down. We get all the way to the Meteor Beam from countering down the Steelix, and we lost lead in this match, and we still get a boom! The Pelipper is gone, one-shotted. Boosted Meteor Beam, boosted again after we won the match. You'll love to see it. Getting into the next one, we have Pidgeot against Quagsire. Not the most ideal lead in the world, but I think actually technically I could win out the 2-shield by playing this correct enough, because Wing Attack is generating energy so fast. But what I don't want to do here is give up both of my shields, considering my back line and how it has a common weakness of grass. So I gotta be very careful on how I decide to play this matchup. I'm gonna play out the 1 shield in my case, but get off 2 Brave Birds. And the reason why I can so comfortably and safely do that is because Quagsire is running Mudshot as a fast move, which is double resisted. So no matter how debuffed I am, it's never going to be doing an amount of damage that I'm concerned about. We then save swap in the Tapu Fini, and look at what we got in the back. We got a Ferrothorn in the back, which is not going to be great for our back line. Thankfully, we have Pidgeot alive, and also thankfully, Ferrothorn is a steel type, which means that even though that grass damage gonna hit hard, with our shield, we still have a chance. That is the question, though. Can I counter down enough? Can I build up enough energy? Will I be able to overcome the bad lead scenario and this potential terrible swap to win this match? Going for the full counter down, hoping that we don't have to swap. The Ferrothorn just falls short of the Power Whip. They come in with the Machamp. We're going for the Meteor Beam again in the no shield. Boom! Honestly, I think I made a mistake in that spot. I think I should have stayed in, countered the Machamp as much down as possible, maybe tried to catch a move. The opponent then gets off a Stone Edge on our Pidgeot, and I need to go Meteor Beam here again. I'm not going to get off 2 Rock Slides because that Machamp has energy, and I want the attack boost to try and counter down, and we just barely fall short. The Machamp is at 1 HP, the tiniest sliver, as they get off their cross chop there and take us out for the win. So unfortunate there, we lost lead, lost alignment, and lost switch, and we still kept it super close. Getting to this next one, we have another bad lead, save swapping the Tapu Fini with another bad swap on our hands. It's a Dedenne, that's all, folks. I don't know how to pronounce this Pokemon's name, so by all means, bear with me on it, but regardless, we're going for the Moonblast. We know we can't flip switch, so we just want to make sure we can get the positive shield advantage here, which is what we're able to do. Unfortunately, though, that Dedenne is loaded and has health left. So we're coming in with Sudowoodo. The counters are going to be resisted. Things are not looking positive for us because Dedenne kind of core breaks the entire comp. We make a huge call there on their play rough. That was not a discharge. And I was expecting that to happen because they had so much energy and because I had 2 shields. I figured they thought they could be cheeky and sneak it through. Our opponent makes a huge misplay, a huge blunder. I guess they had a little bit of energy, but they weren't expecting the Meteor Beam to land on their 1 shield. They don't even know about the Season 13 update. That's insane. They were thinking to themselves, you know what? I've got a shield. I've got some energy. I can throw super effective water damage from my Lapras onto their Sudowoodo, and I can survive a Rock Slide. You cannot survive a Meteor Beam, trainer. And with the attack boost, we're able to counter down the Dedenne all the way, going for the Rock Slide bait to get their last shield. We get the shield. Can we get another Meteor Beam off? And there it is, boosted Sudowoodo actually sweeping 1v3 the opponent's entire team after being core broken, which is the craziest part of that entire scenario. GG's. Let's get into the next one. We got Pidgeot up against a Pelipper. Not an amazing lead, not a bad lead, but our opponent decides to save swap in their Auroras, and that is a great situation for us. Now, we're worried about here getting Meteor Beamed like we've been doing to all our opponents. So we didn't count our Powder Stones properly, and we essentially shield there. I don't know if they even built up enough for the Meteor Beam, seeing it the second time because it's happening so fast, but that second Weather Ball we knew was a Weather Ball, so we can no shield and commit to the counter down. With all this energy, though, this is going to benefit my Sudowoodo. We throw the Rock Slide, we get a shield. We're hoping to get the Meteor Beam off, and we were there, but apparently Pelipper has a high enough attack because we end up losing CMP, which is super unfortunate. But we're gonna get off the Meteor Beam. Will they shield? They did. Very unfortunate. But we are at least boosted, so these resisted counters are doing a little bit more resisted damage. They felt threatened, though. They did not want to get boosted Rock Slided on, so they throw their move, not having a bunch of energy. We're going to come back into our Pidgeot and hope we can get off a Brave Bird. Our opponent recognizes what we're trying to do and then swaps to try and catch the Brave Bird onto their Steelix, but we're able to match their Steelix with a super hard answer, that being Tapu Fini. We resist the fast moves. We resist Crunch. They're most likely not running Earthquake. The only thing they can throw at us for damage here is their Psychic Fangs, which is only going to do neutral damage. It's slowly adding up, but even with the debuffs, the fast moves are doing no damage because of that Dragon double resisted damage against our Fairy type. We get off a Surf after already having 2 Surfs. We're going for the Moonblast. The opponent's trying to get some Overfarm to help deal with the Fini and the Pidgeot, but we're going to get off the Moonblast, and we got a different kind of boom for this one with Tapu Fini clutching up. Getting into the next match, we got Pidgeot on a Haunter lead. This is a bit of an interesting matchup here because Haunter having access to Ice Punch, it's going to hit for super effective damage, so we want to shield the first one. We want to build it to the Brave Bird, throw the Feather Dance, hope that Haunters are super glassy and they always shield, They do not shield there. So unfortunately, we don't get that, but we know with the debuff, at the very least, we can survive this next Ice Punch, and we're going to get off some farm. So the question is, what do they bring in? They bring in an Empoleon. I am not staying in that matchup, and then we force them into a bad circumstance. Now, we brought in Tapu Fini, which is a water fairy type, into their Empoleon Water Steel. You might be wondering to yourself, why did they then swap in a fighter here? They did it because, not just because of the poison typing against Fini's fairy typing, but they wanted to keep the Toxstroke away from the Pidgeot. They don't know we have Sudowoodo on the back. They don't know that Sudowoodo can pop off against Empoleon, but we also do have to be wary for our Sudowoodo because as much as counter to do super effective damage to steel types, we're also a rock type that's going to take super effective damage from all of their water damage. So the Empoleon comes back in, hoping for the farm down. We're going to get to the Feather Dance. This is going to be huge for us. We don't get a shield with it, but we get a attack harshly fell debuff, which is important to note here because these waterfalls are doing way less damage, and we do have a shield. They build up the 2 hydro cannons. We shield the first one. The next one's coming through. It looks like we might lose this match, but Sudowoodo survives, hangs on, goes for the counter down, and wins it with the Pidgeot Feather Dance clutch. Getting to the next matchup, another bad lead. Like, that's how insane. Like, this isn't just a feature to be like, yo, what can Sudowoodo and Meteor Beam do? This is a like, yo, run this team in Great League Remix if you want to start winning this early in the season, because this team absolutely popped off. Like, this comp is so well put together with the remix meta. Pidgeot covers Tapu Fini and Sudowoodo's weaknesses. Sudowoodo, Tapu Fini cover Pidgeot's weaknesses. It's not a very obvious ABB at first sight, but it works amazingly together. And I really want to run this team more, but I also want to try out new things. So it's quite the balance. I almost wish we had more than a week of Great League Remix. That's how much success I was having with this team. Anyhow, I'm sidetracked. All I know is I'm bringing in a Pidgeot into a Noctowl and not the Sudowoodo. I can't remember why, because I don't remember where we are in the match. I think it's because I flipped switch and there's a Steelix back there, and I need Sudowoodo against a Steelix. Pretty confident that's the reason. And our opponent makes a huge catch of this Brave Bird onto their Steelix, but because it's a Shadow Steelix, that does half its health, which is actually pretty crazy considering it's resisted. So yes, that was exactly my logic here. We're going to call this move. Ends up being a Psychic Fangs, which is huge for us. We counter all the way down. The Noctowl is going to come back in. We go for the Rock Slide. It was super tempting to go for the Meteor Beam, but they had the shield and we won to guarantee our win. They no shields, call the bait essentially, but this match is over. Rock Slide does too much damage. They knew that we were practically at 2 moves, so that they had to no shield a Rock Slide, and they needed to see how much it did. Getting into the next matchup, we have Pidgeot up against Vigoroth, another very neutral lead. We want to play it in the ABB format of getting out of this matchup, essentially. But our opponent decides to beat us to the punch, and we get another Brave Bird caught on us, this time on the Unnovan Stunfisk. We have what's an alright counter to the Unnovan Stunfisk, that being Tapu Fini dealing some super effective water gun damage. The reason why it's not that great of a counter is because of that electric damage being discharged. Thankfully, they're not running Thunder Shot, they're running Mud Shot, so that helps Tapu Fini hold on against their fast move damage. Now they're staying, I mean, they shielded, they're committing. Do I also shield this, or do I let this come through, give up switch? That is what I do. And I think I'll come in Sudowoodo and try and counter it down. Is that the play I make? Because I can't wing attack this thing down. That is the play I make, but unfortunately, before I'm able to counter down, now I remember, I'm not going to be able to get away without them throwing a charge move, so I have to give up my last shield because Mud Bomb would have hit for super effective. They come in with Pelipper. I want to build up to the Meteor Beam, but I know with the wing attack buff, they get to the super effective Weather Balls super fast, so I have to be careful. Thankfully, get the shield, try to catch a Weather Ball. It doesn't happen, but the opponent stays in the Pelipper Pidgeot matchup for too long because they're trying to maximize their energy, and instead they lose their Pelipper. And just because of that misplay, this matchup ends up being GG. They come in with Vigoroth. We're going to get to a Feather Dance. We're going to debuff them. They're going to do as much counter damage as possible. But again, similar to that Empoleon matchup where Feather Dance clutched, it's going to clutch here too because the counters and the Bulldoze from Vigoroth literally do no damage due to the fact that the Vigoroth was debuffed from the Feather Dance. So this is going to be GG's for another match. Getting into the next one, we got Pidgeot up against another Vigoroth. Vigoroth, very common lead in the Great League Remix meta. I even tried it a bit on another team comp of mine. I don't know if I put out that video or not, so I won't spoil it. Either way, we're going to let the first Body Slam come through, even though that really should be the one we shield if we're going to Feather Dance. But because we're not going to Feather Dance, it's okay to let it through and Boom! We land a nuke, but not from the Sudowoodo. We landed from our Pidgeot. Being the Brave Bird, they thought we were going to debuff them, and that's huge because their Vigoroth's completely gone now. And then they come in with an Oranguru. Vigoroth double Psychic because we safe swap into Tapu Fini to try and lure out their last Mon. Also, because our Pidgeot was debuffed, we don't want it to just be free farm since we won't get to another move before the Oranguru confusions our Pidgeot all the way down, and we lure out a Hypno. I'm then going to come into Pidgeot and hope that Sudowoodo can clutch with its neutral counter damage and neutral rock damage that's going to deal to the Oranguru. They throw a Thunder Punch with their Hypno onto our Pidgeot. We are not able to wing attack farm it down, but we're going to come with Sudowoodo and we're able to counter the Hypno all the way down. This is going to be a tight 2-shield matchup. I have to be extremely careful about when I decide to throw my charge moves. That is huge here because counter is a 2-turn fast move. Did I say charge move? Yeah, no. I have to be careful with how I throw my charge moves because counter is a 2-turn fast move and confusion is a 4-turn fast move. If I throw these charge moves at the wrong time, I give them a free confusion that comes through. And if they get a free confusion, they're gonna get off another charge move that would lose me this game. This is coming down to the wire. They're super close to another foul play. I need to get off another rock slide to win this match. So basically, you want to throw one counter, then your charge move. You want to throw in the middle of the confusion. One's 2-turn, one's 4-turn. So basically, you want to throw like every other, I don't know the right numbers for 2-on-4, but basically, when you throw on your first, you throw on your third, is that what it is? 1, 3, 5? I feel like that makes mathematical sense. Math teacher trying to make sense of mathematical numbers in fast moves for Pokemon Go. Use that as a lesson. But actually, though, so essentially, you just want to make sure you don't throw on even because then you'll let a free confusion through. Pretty sure that's correct. Somebody quote me if I'm wrong. I rushed that answer and I didn't think this through as I decided to make the video. On that note, though, let me know your thoughts on Sudowoodo with Meteor Beam in the Great League Remix meta, and let me know your thoughts on the battles as always. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Preach!